Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusantadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. So our reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 5th Adhyaya Sannyas Yoga, and today we are going to read the twin couplets, the twin shlokas 27-28, because these two shlokas they are in continuation. It is not that we can cut the 27th shloka with a certain meaning and 28th shloka with certain meaning. The meaning actually it gets continued between the 27th and 28th shloka. Just like earlier we had read those 8th and 9th shlokas in this adhyaya where Sri Krishna had given us some kind of a standard operating procedure of how the sense organs coming in contact with the sense objects, how the process of doing various activities continues. He had told us that all these activities, seeing, sleeping, hearing, listening, breathing, even moving around, and opening and closing of the eyelids, all these activities that they happen through us, these are nothing but the association of sense objects with sense organs with the sense objects. That is it. That is why the activity happens. But the one residing inside, the indweller in this body, in this fort, in this fortress of 9 openings, that fellow, that indweller is nowhere concerned in conducting all these activities. That fellow doesn't have any sense organs, any senses as such, and can't be tempted by any of those sense objects. So he is coolly sitting there. He is not involved. All these activities the body is doing, yes, through the resources made available. Which are the resources made available? That also Sri Krishna had told us. The body, the mind, and the intellect. These are the resources through which this body performs all these activities. But that one, the indweller in this body, he is actionless. And this shlok also has got some relevance to what Sri Krishna had told us earlier in that 8th and 9th shloka about the involvement of body, mind, and intellect in getting all these activities done. And in our previous reading of the 26th shloka, we had seen that Sri Krishna had taught us that Kama-krodha vyuktanam yatinam yatachetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam. Having crushed the kama and krodha, having crushed the lust and anger, these yatis, the all renouncers, they get the moment lust and anger are crushed. A person gets elevated to the stature of becoming a yati, becoming a sannyasi, becoming a renunciate. Because these are the only two culprits which pull down a being into the entanglement of this worldly life. Now, yatis also, they remain in the world, but they are in the world, but they are not perturbed, they are not entangled in any of those worldly affairs. So that's what Sri Krishna had taught us, that the yati, the all renouncer, the sannyasi, having crushed kama and krodha and realized the self by meditating on the self. Yata chetasam abhito brahma nirvanam. He realizes, he gets liberation, he reaches the stage of attaining liberation and merging with the Brahman here itself and also hereafter, all around, abhitaha, everywhere, whether he is in this world or out of this world, out of this body. He attains to the state of Brahma Nirvana, vartate viditatmanam. That is what the realized self that experiences this Brahma Nirvana. And what happens? How do these people, these yatis, these all renouncers, how they behave? They have nothing to do with the lust and anger. They have nothing to do with the desires. For them, all desires have gone for toss. Their only desire is merging, remaining merged in the self. Now, how do they perform? How they behave physically? That is what Sri Krishna is telling us in this two shlok of 27 and 28. These are again standard operating procedure he is telling us. This is how these elevated souls, these enlightened beings, this is how they behave, and start behaving in the same manner. You will reach that stage. But before that, you have to complete certain prerequisites. Get rid of desire, get rid of lust, get rid of anger, and then equipoised, sukha dukkha same kṛitvā, having got all these prerequisites done, having completed all these prerequisites, then go on to a level higher. And what is that level higher? Sri Krishna is telling us now. Sparśhān kṛitvā bahir bāhyānśh chakṣhuśh chaivāntare bhruvoḥ prāṇāpānau samau kṛitvā nāsābhyantara-chāriṇau. This is the 27th Shloka. Now, sparśhān kṛitvā bahir bāhyānśh. Sparśhān is the contacts. The contact of the sense organs and the sense objects, which is triggered by the senses. That is the sparśhān. Kṛitvā is shutting out. I have got nothing to do with this contact of sense organs and the sense objects. They are doing their work, fine. I am not involved. That realization. Sparśhān kṛitvā bahir bāhyānśh. These external, all these sense objects which are lying outside of my periphery of this body, these are all external. All the sense objects are external. No sense object is internal. All the sense objects that the senses tempt the sense organs to go and associate with, to seek that pleasure, that enjoyment. All the objects are outside. So having shunned kṛitvā, I am done with it. I am done with any kind of contact with these external sense objects. Sparśhān kṛitvā bahihi bāhyānśh chakṣhuśh cha eva antare bhruvoḥ. Chakshu, the eyes. Now Sri Krishna is telling the great secret. Having shunned the contact with the external objects, what these people do, what these enlightened souls do, chakṣhuśh cha eva antare bhruvoḥ, that the eyes, they are focused in between the eyebrows. That is the ultimate point of meditation on the self. The eyesight is balanced, is centered, is focused between the eyebrows. And prāṇāpānau samau kṛitvā, the breathing, the incoming breath, the outgoing breath, having balanced, samau kṛitvā, having balanced, having equalized. Normally what happens when we are breathing, as it is, when we are breathing, we are not at all conscious that we are breathing. We take it for granted we are breathing. Our knowing that we are breathing hardly ever takes place. We never even meditate on our breathing. It goes on automatically. We have taken it for granted. I am breathing. But how do we breathe? The yogis, those who do pranayama, they have full control over their breathing process as such. They study the breathing process. Not like us ordinary souls, that we are not even aware that we are breathing. We just keep on living for years and years and years, not even realizing that actually we are breathing, till some breathing problem comes to us. And only then we wake up. And then we start taking medicines and all that. But the yogis, what they do? Prāṇāpānau samau kṛitvā, having balanced. There has to be a rhythm between the incoming breath, the outgoing breath. There has to be a rhythm. These yogis, these yatis, they bring in that rhythm in their breathing process. The incoming breath, the outgoing breath, even the kumbhaka, the breath which is held inside for some time, even if it is for a minuscule period. These yogis, they have full control. Their process of breathing is under their control. That's why we hear that, okay, some of these hatha yogis and all, they can they go on without even breathing for a few minutes even. That is the kind of control these people, they have brought in. Prāṇāpānau samau kṛitvā, nāsābhyantara-chāriṇau, and nāsābhyantara, in the nostrils. What happens is they keep this breath moving inside the nostrils. This is the life force. The breathing is the life force. Prana is the life force for us, isn't it? When we call a person dead, when there is no breathing as such, when the breathing actually stops. I mean, okay, there are two things. One is death by way of, okay, breathing is stopped. Another is brain dead and all that kind of stuff. But the primary condition of death is the breath. Once the breath that goes out doesn't come back in. That's it. That is what death is closest to us. The breath that has gone out, if it doesn't come in, that's all. We say the fellow has gone. And these people, they make this breath which is taken in play around. nāsābhyantara-chāriṇau. They make this breath, the prana, move around within the nostrils as at their command. It is at their command that even this breath, it plays inside the nostrils. So that is the 28th Shloka, and Sri Krishna has partly told us how these yatis, how these yogis who have conquered the desire, the anger, the lust, the greed, how they behave, focusing their mind, focusing their eyesight between the eyebrows. That is the point of meditation. And controlling, they're having full control over their breathing process. Next what? Yatendriya-mano-buddhir munir mokṣha-parāyaṇaḥ vigatechchhā-bhaya-krodho yaha sadā mukta eva saha. Yatendriya-mano-buddhir, whose, now Sri Krishna is talking about the three resources that he had taught us earlier, which get us involved in performing these activities. Yatat indriya mano buddhi, the organs, the sense organs, mano, the mind, buddhi, the intellect. These three are the resources available to this body to perform any action. We don't have any other resource apart from these three: the organs, the mind, and the intellect. Yatendriya-mano-buddhir munir mokṣha-parāyaṇaḥ. Munir is again these realized souls. Mokṣha-parāyaṇaḥ. Mokṣha-parāyaṇa is having liberation as the supreme goal. Their entire goal is, their aim of survival is to attain liberation. Through the past deeds, through the prarabdha, they have taken this birth. They are not ever free. They are not ever free souls. They are not mukta souls. But they have taken up this body to complete whatever was due to be done through all the deeds done in the past lives. So they have taken birth. But now, having understood their objective of getting this birth in the human form, with this body, mind and intellect, now their focus is liberation. Mokṣha-parāyaṇaḥ. That is their objective of liberation, and they utilize these three resources to achieve that objective. Yatendriya-mano-buddhir munir mokṣha-parāyaṇaḥ vigatechchhā-bhaya-krodho. Vigatechchhā-bhaya-krodho means having free from desire, bhaya, ichchhā-bhaya-krodho, the desires, fear and anger. These three defects, so called, these three defects, they pull us down. And these enlightened souls, they have vigata, they have dissociated themselves from these three defects: ichcha, bhaya, krodha, the desire, fear and anger. Vigata ichcha bhaya krodha yaha sadā muctaha eva saha. Yaha, who, sadā, forever, muktaha, free, eva saha, is verily ever free. So this is what Sri Krishna has told in these two verses of 27 and 28, how the yogi behaves, shutting all external objects, contact with all the external objects, fixing the gaze between the eyebrows, balancing, playing the outward and inward breath within the nostrils. The sage who has controlled senses, mind and intellect, who constantly pursues liberation. He who has cast away all desires, he has cast away fear, he has cast away anger. For him, desire, fear and anger, they stand no more. Such a person is verily liberated. These are the only things that are required to be done, having got rid of the desire, lust, greed and attachment to the sense objects. the sense objects through the sense organs. Having completely taken out this particular association or the contact between the sense organs and the sense objects, and meditating, meditating with the eyes focused between the eyebrows, and controlling the breath, incoming and outgoing breath, to totally under one's command, and playing it, moving it, that incoming breath within the nostrils, the incoming and going out, that person is verily liberated. He is no more to come back into this dreadful world of delusion and frustration and dejection and pain and misery. When sound and other sense objects are excluded from the mind, they are said to have been shut out. When mind dissociates itself with the sense objects, then there is it is mind is shut out from the external sense objects. The eyes remain half closed in meditation. They don't go and they hook upon all those beautiful tempting things. The eyes, they don't see that. The eyes, in their own meditative form, they see only the divine bliss. Their gaze simply seems to be fixed between the eyebrows while actually they are at rest. When we meditate with our eyesight focused in between the eyebrows, half opened eyes, we don't see anything. That is the point when actually this sense organ of sight is taking rest. It is at full rest. The breathe exhaled is called prana, and breathe inhaled is called apana. Prana and apana. One who has controlled these two elements of the breathing process has full mastery over this creation. Regulating and harmonizing the inward and outward flow of breath is pranayama. Stilling the mind and equalizing the passage of breath either way through pranayama are interrelated. When mind ceases to function, breath stops. And that's why they say when people enter samadhi, when people get into that ecstatic state where the mind merges with the divine, people cannot make out whether the person is breathing or not. Like we read in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, when he enters samadhi, when we read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna or the great master, that Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, when we read about Sri Ramakrishna entering into samadhi, the body is totally motionless, not at all active, no movement at all, even the breathing has stopped. And this is what happens with the yogis. When the mind ceases to function, even breathing stops. And when breath stops, mind ceases to function. Our mind, activity of the mind. You see how active the mind is. The mind cannot rest even for a fraction of a second. But when the breathing is brought under control, when this prana and apana are brought under control, mind automatically comes under control. That is the entire process of fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord and then working in this world which is filled with delusion, which is filled with the pairs of opposites. Mind gets disturbed and depraved every time desire, fear and anger make their evil appearance in it. These are the three factors: desire, fear and anger, which force a person to work in absolutely haphazard manner, in derogatory manner. These are the three things: desire, fear and anger. And once a person is free from this, there is nothing that can pull him down. There is nothing that can bring him down to the level of being an animal. The reflection of an object gets hazy and broken on the surface of disturbed water. But if the water is still, if the water is peace, if the water is at its 100% calm, then we clearly see the reflections in that calm and peaceful water. The water surface which is not at all moving, it is just still. In that water, we see the reflections perfectly. And in such a mind, which is absolutely still, the mind, one perceives the reflection of the Brahman itself within us. It should first of all gain quietude. The mind should get quietude through the conquest of desire, fear, and anger. Meditation thus then becomes easy and spontaneous. And then at will, at our own command, we get into that mood of meditation. We don't have to force our mind down, to calm down. Automatically, the mind having calmed down, we automatically get into the state of meditation. Those of us who get into this practice of doing japa and meditation, we know how difficult it is to bring this mind under control, even for that short time that we are doing japa and meditation. The moment we sit for japa, immediately mind takes on and starts moving around all the places, the entire universe it traverses, rather than focusing on the japa that we are doing. So that is what happens. When such mind automatically comes under control, automatically comes into that stage of calmness and peace and serenity, meditation automatically happens. Then nobody has to make an effort to meditate. Then meditation happens. Muni is the original word for sage. That the word that Sri Krishna has used in this particular the shloka, the Muni. He is the Muni whose mind flows incessantly towards the Lord. Mani, the mind continuously merged with the Lord. He is a Muni. He is liberated who is established in pure consciousness. So this is what Sri Krishna has told about such a person, how he behaves externally, that having destroyed the lust and greed and desire and the anger, his entire focus is here. His entire focus is here. The breathing is controlled. His mind is perfectly in the calm state, because there is no outward contact of the sense organs. Although the sense organs may be seeing the things, but they are not seeing. Eyes may be seeing, but they are not seeing. Ears may be hearing, but they are not hearing. The skin may be touching, but it's not touching. I may be breathing, but not breathing. That all breathing is controlled. That seeing is controlled by fixing the sight in the middle of the eyebrows. So that is what Sri Krishna has taught in this particular the couplet of shlokas, the 27th and 28th shlokas, of how these yatis, how these munis, how these enlightened souls, they behave in this world. And this is now towards the end of this particular fifth adhyaya. Very soon we will be completing it in our next reading. So Sri Krishna has brought us, from jnana to karma, and now we are on to the karma sannyasa. That's the sannyasa yoga of understanding what is real renunciation, not running away from doing the work, but do work. without any association, without any attachment of the sense organs with the sense objects, like he has once again told us here. Sparśhān kṛitvā, bahir bāhyānśh, no more attachment. Do away with that attachment of the sense organs with the external sense objects, and that's it. You get into the state of being a yati, you get into the state of being a sannyasi, you get into the state of being a muni who attains the state of Brahma Nirvana. So that was 27th and 28th shloka that we read today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.